Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Sunday, and it is time for episode 340 of the Ron and Brian podcast. A very big night in relation to the history and future of the podcast. So we are recording this a little bit early so that we can watch the big game tonight, because not only do the Kansas Chiefs have a chance to three-peat, my friends, have a chance to repeat and spend another year as your podcast champion. I know, Brian, you don't like to hear it, but we are just now hours away from finding out who will hold this prestigious title, this 6 pounds of gold. I mean, just look at it, people. It's one of the most beautiful things on earth.
It's beautiful.
Speaking of beautiful, I had mentioned on our social media this week that we were trying to come up with some new merchandise. So this is a new T-shirt that's going to be hitting the merch store shortly. Matt came up with the idea. I kind of moved some of the names around, but it's a little one of these name things: Ron and Matt, and Drink of the Week and Beef of the Week. And we even managed to sneak Brian in at the very end there. Comes with gives you the logo on the shirt. So just good stuff it is.
Hurtful, Ron. That's hurtful. Listen, this is Super Bowl Sunday. We were recording it live. We were recording this T minus 6 out. What time's the game? 6:30?
I believe kickoff is 6:30 this evening.
Great, which means the game will go till about 12:15, because there are going to be just an unlimited number of TV breaks. However, I think lost in the shuffle amongst all of the hoopla over Super Bowl Sunday is what this game is really about. And what is it about, Ron? It's about the championship belt, which currently you have and I want. Last week, we had an incredible episode. For those people that missed it, please go back to the YouTube, go back to wherever you get your podcasts from. Watch the video. I think you're missing out if you get only the audio version. First off, congratulations to our moderator, Marty Jardy.
Yes, without a doubt.
She put such an effort into it, really raising the bar for future moderators. You know, the level of expectation for what a moderator brings. I would not be surprised if CNN gives her a call for the next presidential debate that they will be doing in 2028.
Good.
Anyhow, it was a great episode. Ron, you were drinking something. I was rocking Jack and Cokes. So the end of the show got a little blurry for me, so I had to go back and watch it. I'm going to say this. I was very proud of my performance. I don't know how you felt about yours, but I was incredibly proud. And I looked around, I asked people, what did you think? The word on the street, at least here in New York, was that it was just an amazing, amazing episode. But what we also did was we went to our Patreon. The people that for as little as $5 a month, we said to the people, hey, help the show out. We sat there and said to them, what do you think of the performances that we got? Who won the debate? It was very clear. Brian winning 2/3 of the votes. Ron only getting a third. Ron, how do you feel about this public rebuke of not just your performance during the debate, but I feel about your championship as a whole?
So I will say, first of all, kudos to you after 340 episodes, figured out how to share your screen on the podcast. And listen, I understand you sent this poll out via OAN and Newsmax, so it's kind of distorted scores, but I thought I did great. Many commentators in the Philly adjacent area said I made you look more incoherent than you normally do. So I feel comfortable with my performance. I feel comfortable with my Super Bowl pick of Philadelphia Eagles plus 1.5 tonight. We will also be hitting up some of the Super Bowl prop bets a little bit later in the show, so you can figure out where you want to put that last minute money on. But in the meantime, let's get to it with Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the Week.
Pleasure.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
All right, Brian. Last week, as you mentioned, it was Jack and Coke. What is it this week you're bringing to the table?
Listen, I feel lucky today. I feel like today is going to be a day of winners. And not only is today going to be a day of winners, it will be a day of winners from the sports world as well as the alcohol level. I'm starting off with a winning beer, something both you and I can agree upon. This is the Hitachino Nest White Ale. I had this beer back in October. Thanks to you, Ron, and Mrs. Ron, for your recommendation. Let me first just look at that beautiful color. Look at that beautiful, beautiful beer. This is a refreshing, for those people that need to be reminded, it's a mild hopped Belgian and American inspired beer with complex tart flavors, coriander, orange peel, and nutmeg. It's a combination wit and wild ale. This brew has won gold medals at several beer competitions in the UK, which is more important, and the US. Beer Advocate gives it a score of 5.5. I'm just drinking this beer, Ron.
Just drink it. And again, a great beer. What is so amazing to me, how that is such a high level beer, and then you try their other beers, and they're not even in the same ballpark.
It was shit. It was shite. Remember that? What was that pink one? I dumped out my 6-pack.
That was like the red rice one, and then there was the yuzu lager, which was okay, but not to the level of
no. This beer is delicious, Ron.
Yes.
On a Super Bowl Sunday, what beverage are you bringing to the table?
So I went to the heartland of this country, Brian. I went down to Charlottesville, Virginia, for Three Notched Brewing for their Blueberry Ghosts. This is a juicy, ripe blackberries delivering a bright burst of flavor, 5.1%. Some of you remember there was that little incident back in Charlottesville, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, with the Nazis marching with tiki torches. At the time, Brian caught a lot of flack for saying that there were extremely good people on each side. So to fight that hateful rhetoric and to fight the potential of Brian becoming champion again, we bring Three Notch to the table with their Blackberry Ghost. It's got a fruity looking body to it. I am enjoying the look of that. You can actually smell the blackberries coming off this. And let's take a sip.
While Ron takes a sip, I'll just like to point out that he also has a fruity looking body.
Thank you. Oh, that's good.
Ooh, walk me through it. While you take your sip, walk me through what's going on. What are you tasting?
Just the right amount of carbonation, not too carbonated, not too tart. You really get the blackberry flavor, and then you get the smooth ale aftertaste. I would put this as I would give this an 8.9 on my brewometer, which will be running out at some point this year.
I think I have a lot of plans for my championship year. I've already started putting together what I will be doing in my first 100 days. I've got a great plan. We've been working on it. I mean, the book is probably about yay high of pages. I'm not going to show it right now, but you just trust
quick
me.
Question.
Got a great plan.
Will you be shipping that book down to third world countries when you lose today?
No, I will not. You know what I will be doing later today is I'll be cracking out this bottle of bubbly when I win the championship. It will be a video.
Little bit of bubbly.
I will be drinking the bubbly. That's correct. I picked up a bottle. Look at the nice little container that it came in. I treated myself yesterday by picking up a bottle of whatever.
Listen, you're living the ivory tower lifestyle. No two ways around.
That will be opened tonight after the game. I might, if the Chiefs are winning by 24 in the fourth quarter, I may open it up a little early before the clock ends just to celebrate, so I can have the glass at. It's going to be a magical night here in West New York. I'm sorry, Ron. I will be crushing your dreams tonight. Question for you: when you're
Yes.
packing up the belt, can you do me a favor? Can you
Right.
wrap paper towels around the bubble wrap? Because I don't want your tears to get into the bubble wrap, slide through, and somehow damage that gold belt. Can you wrap paper towels around it to absorb your tears?
On the extreme off chance that I have to ship this back to you, I will be loading up the box with used toilet paper.
And you think that's a deterrent for me?
All right, it's time for Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
I had an incredibly unpleasant experience, which I will be sharing as my beef of the week.
All
My
right.
beef of the week, Ron, customer service has been lost in America. We've complained about it for, I would say, several years now. I experienced it myself this past week in a very tragic way. When people think of supermarkets, obviously the gold standard is Store 243 in Saratoga Springs. Their customer service desk is run by true professionals who understand that the customer is always right. By comparison, the Acme supermarket here in West New York, customer service desk was run by just a foul-attituded woman. And gender, not important here.
All right.
Just
Important to
painting
note
the
that.
picture. Listen, now, okay. You know how much I like returning items, correct?
Oh, it's you would rather, I think, take a bullet sometimes than than have to return something to a store.
So I went to the supermarket. I think I went on Monday to pick up some items for dinner. I asked the lady, anything you want me to get while I'm there? She said, can you pick me up a couple yogurts? Lady's been eating a lot of yogurt lately, once every morning, probably for gut health.
Good for the
I know
probiotics.
Johanna's going to sit there and say it's all about the probiotics. So she's been doing a yogurt every day. So she was like, pick me up a couple yogurts. So I bought, because she is my queen, I buy nothing but the best. So do I buy a Chobani? No. Do I buy the Fage? No. What do I buy? I bought the Oui, OUI brand yogurt. That shit
in
comes
the glass container. Yeah,
that comes in glass. You can use these for your votive candles. To just set the votive.
You got it right.
Really? Because you gave me that look like I was I was
I'm
wrong.
more thinking you're sitting here talking about buying Veuve Clicquot and Oui yogurt, and you're also then going to frame yourself as being someone who can relate to the common man. But
I
I'm
am
sorry.
a man of the people.
I'm interrupting your beef, so
people.
please go back to your yogurt return at your local
I
Acme.
will tell the yogurt store. By the way, there is a person standing like 2 feet away from me holding a pillow, so I will be watching what I may get hit. So she asked me to get some yogurt. I bought her the good stuff because she deserves it. The lady is my queen.
Right.
So I buy that Oui yogurt. Forgot what flavor it was. We'll call it strawberry. So come home, emptying out the grocery bag, and I put the 2 yogurts on the counter. She picks it up. As a woman of sophistication, she just looks at it, holds it up in the air a little bit, and she goes, these are off. I'm like, how do you know? I'm not. I'm like 30 minutes, from purchase, and they're already off. She shows me these things are all liquid. They've separated.
Yeah, that's not good.
There's like a whole layer of like it looked like mold water, like just floating on the top. And right off the bat, I know yogurt's funky by design. So I sit there and I go, okay, well, I'm not going to go back today. I will return them tomorrow. So tomorrow, Tuesday, come home, drop my stuff off, grab the 2 yogurts with my receipt because I want to show that I genuinely purchased these. I go over to Acme. There is a woman, I'm going to say, brownish hair. I would peg her in her mid to late 40s. Looks at me and goes, "How can I help you?" That is the last point of help that this woman offered. Because at that point, it was just insult upon more insults. So I take the two out. I'm like, "Hey, I'd like to return these two yogurts. They're off." Woman grabs one, looks at it, and she goes, "Didn't you look at it when you bought it?"
Well, that was the immediate question in my head, but all right, I get it. You're
hold
trying,
on.
you're trying for service.
But this is the difference, Ron, is the fact that you can call me out on this. You can call me out on this. You can say, "Well, didn't you look at it?" And the truth of the matter was, no, I didn't look at it.
Okay.
I was just like, all right, two yogurts, right, boom, boom. So I looked at her. I was just like, to be honest, I just grabbed them off the shelf and I put them in the shopping cart. I didn't look at them until I got home. And she just goes like this to me. "Go get what you want to exchange it for." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I walked back to the thing. And keep in mind, when I'm interacting with just foul people, I immediately go happy. Like the second I realize you're in a bad mood,
I will say,
just go happy, because I know that's the only. Because if I go bad mood, it's going to be a negative encounter. There's no point of that. I'm not going to get my way.
You go full kill them with kindness more than anybody 100%. I know.
So I come back and I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to exchange him for the. Did you look at these?" The fucking attitude.
Is she part owner of the Acme where she has to be worried about breakage percentages and profits?
Can't be. William asked whether they were expired. No, they were not expired. So what I did was I exchanged them for a different brand, one that I had a little bit more trust in now. Those turned out to be good. All right. But yeah, so the woman at the customer service at Acme Supermarkets in West New York, up yours. Ron?
Yeah.
Ron, what's bothering you this week?
So I will say it was the two women, and again, gender not important, but they were two women.
Wow, not just one woman pissed you off, two women pissed you off.
Two women sitting behind me on my plane on Friday. As you know, Brian, I flew down to New Orleans to give a pep talk to the Philadelphia Eagles as they get ready to kick off here on Super Bowl Sunday. And again, I knew I was heading into red country as it was, but these two women were sitting behind my lovely wife and I, and just one of them is like, "Yeah, did you see JD Vance lit somebody up on Twitter today?" And I'm thinking to myself, JD Vance has never lit anyone up. He's fucked the couch, but he's never lit anybody up on Twitter. And so it was like, "Well, what happened?" "Well, you know, that Elon Musk kid, the kid that works for Elon Musk, got fired because, you know, he supposedly made some racist comments on Twitter. And, you know, I don't think you should get canceled when you do dumb stuff when you're a kid." Now, this is Marco Velez was the kid that was working for Doge, not a kid, in his 20s, and apparently had posted things like, "You could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity," and also wrote on his account to, quote, "normalize Indian hate."
Ooh,
so it's
that's not okay.
Yeah. So we're sitting there, and my wife and I are just looking at each other like, are these fucking people serious? So we start talking loudly, hopefully enough to hear, and I'm like, "Yeah, who hasn't been a hateful person when we were kids and put it out on social media?" I don't know if we just weren't loud enough or if they, you know, just were ignoring us.
Sure.
So then they're like, "Oh, did you see RFK Jr. finally made it out of committee?" And everyone was like, "Thank God, we got to get him in." And it was just, but every bad thing you can think about people voting that MAGA route, these women were like, "Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, she's not a Russian agent. We should." And I'm like sitting there now, I'm like, "Hey, you know who was really misunderstood as a youth? Jeffrey Dahmer." And that's when my wife hit me and was like, "Come on now." I was like, "Damn." But I was just like,
"Did she hit you with her pillow?"
She did not have a pillow at that point. She just strikes me with her hand. It's more effective that way.
Backhand. But this is the thing, Ron, and this is why I think it is important for the coastal elite, which I believe you and I are both part of.
True.
I think it's important for us to travel around this country because you suddenly do understand why Trump won. You do understand why the Republicans have such a powerful control over the national government, is that we are genuinely kind of a minority in this country in terms of our views. There is a gigantic segment of this country with also who all have one vote, just as much as you and I do, which I disagree with, but we're going to talk about that some other episode. Put a pin in that. But people who genuinely do believe that Robert Kennedy is going to sit there and push big pharma out of the way and show them that their vaccines that are hurting, good Americans need to be taken out, which is just fucking wild to me. Like, I understand you want to sit there and be like, hey, there was a vaccine. It was rushed out because there was a pandemic. It wasn't given the proper clinical trials and whatnot. But a vaccine like polio, which has been around for 70 years, like vaccines for that have proven to have wiped out a disease. He's going to stand up there and go, vaccines, we don't trust them. They don't work. We need to ban them. Like,
I think he's going to say vaccines don't work.
Did you see the video of him putting in the nicotine patches?
No.
Oh, while he was giving his testimony, you could see he would go like this, go into his pocket and go like this. And he would stick a little nicotine pouch out. And then like 20 minutes later, you see him go like this. And he would spit it out. Oh, it was wild. Absolutely wild. Dropping the sins. Yeah, listen, there's a lot of people who disagree with us in this country. And at the end of the day, and this is genuinely where I'm at emotionally, this country gets the politicians that we deserve because we're the ones that put them in power. So, so people want to complain and whatnot. If you don't organize and you don't do anything about it and you don't use your voice, then you deserve exactly what you're getting. And this is what we're getting. This is what we deserve.
What is amazing to me, and it's kind of, I don't know if it's karma, sweet justice, what you want to say, but the number of people that voted for Donald Trump who are now, going online to be like, I can't afford my medication anymore. Farmers that are talking about they're going to lose their farms because he reversed the Inflation Reduction Act. He's gutting USAID. Billions and billions of dollars that were going to veterans, to farmers, and everything else. It's like, well, you got what you voted for.
Yeah. So there's a famous video. Yeah, there's a famous video that's going across social media right now. Some teacher, I don't know what state she's in, blonde hair, has that like Nancy Grace haircut, kind of looks like Nancy Grace, actually, now the more I think about it. And she's sitting there and she's just like, she's crying poor to the reporter about how the education budget has been slashed in the state and how they're not going to have funds for a bunch of stuff. And then the reporter's just like, but, like, you're a Trump supporter. She goes, yeah. I voted for him because he was going to, put America first. But I didn't know he was also going to do all this other stuff. And it's like, he ran on that stuff. Like, do you not understand? Like the control that's going on. He's going to be worse than Reagan. I'm going to say this. He's going to be worse than Reagan.
20 years from now, when we're doing episode 5,322, Billy's going to be saying, this is all because of Trump.
Yeah, he's just going to be using his little microphone because he will have lost the use of his hands.
And we'll have the actual chips implanted in our brain that just sends the podcast out automatically.
We're just going to sit there like this. And like the podcast goes out.
Stories of the week, Brian. Let's knock out these stories of the week. We didn't do any last year. We got to get back to them. Stories that we want to make sure we get to, make sure they do not fall through the cracks. Brian, what is your story of the week this week?
My story of the week this week is we're going to go out to the great state of wherever this story is from, Idaho. Yeah, listen, if a story's coming out from Idaho, it's going to be good. Ron, I like to stick it to the man as much as possible. Recently, at a supermarket that I was there, somebody who was at the self checkout next to me, it looked like they had bought two pork shoulders. You call it pork butts, correct? They had bought two pork butts. They were in the self checkout. I saw them only ring one. They didn't ring two. They got it. They bought a charcuterie meat package. They also got one of cheese. They only rang the meat one up. They didn't ring the cheese. This was outrageous. This is the world that we're at. Sticking it to the man.
It sounds like that person was buying the same exact dinner menu you have for the game later today.
Coincidence. Anyway,
continue.
But we love a good sticking it to the man story. But you got to be careful when you stick it to man. The trick is this, people. Don't be greedy. Ron, do you have a photo of Dylan Rockwell, grandson of the famous artist Harvey Rockwell? I don't remember his name, but from New York. What is it?
Norman Rockwell.
Norman Rockwell, not even close. But this, ladies and gentlemen, is Dylan Rockwell, who used a homemade barcode inscribed machine to stick new prices on top of products at his Walmart, went to self-checkout. Unfortunately, he pushed his luck a little too far. He printed up barcodes that showed the price of soup to pop up on the scanners. Unfortunately, he was using it for products that were worth way more than a bar of soup. Where did he go wrong? Well, apparently, according to the Caldwell Police Department, he used this barcode scanner to show up a price of tomato soup while he was walking out with a $300 grill at Walmart. First off, Ron, the very fact that the man's at Walmart buying a grill, just unbelievable. So he used this makeshift machine to inscribe cheap barcodes on products. He thought he was going to walk out having paid 70 cents. That's correct. A can of great value tomato condensed soup, which is what he was printing up barcodes for. 70 cents for a $300 grill. Officers responded to the Idaho Walmart February 2nd, so this happened relatively recently, after reports of a theft in progress tracked him back to his home about 25 miles outside the state capital of Boise. While being questioned by police, Rockwell allegedly copped to pulling the hand-waving scam at Walmart on several occasions. Jesus Christ, listen, if you're going to be stupid, don't be so stupid that you think you can. I mean, this is just pure greed. You know, if you're going to steal small. That's
and I don't think people realize the level of security that is now attached to these self-checkout machines. Like, I know the ones at our local Giant, like sometimes something won't register correctly and it won't let you do anything and you got to wait for somebody to come over.
Sure.
And like the person came over and punched a bunch of buttons and it literally had a camera shot from above the self-checkout that literally you could see it from 27 different angles, all the moves you were making. So like they're not fucking around anymore. Like
no, they're not fucking around.
You used to be able to rip off these machines. To your point, you can't do it anymore.
You used to be able to buy two 2-pound pork butts and only ring one up and then put it back in your bag. Can't do that anymore.
Not in Trump's America.
You know what I also heard some people like to do? This is really outrageous. They like to grab a bundle of organic bananas, and then when they go to ring it up, they weigh it down. They pull up the price for the regular bananas.
Wow.
Ooh, that's disgusting. I mean, that feels
criminal to me.
That feels criminal. Ron, yes. 28 minutes into the show, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
What's your story of the week?
So my story goes over to jolly old England, Brian, where a woman is facing trial for a vulgar bumper sticker that allegedly caused distress to some people. Georgia Venables, age 29, of Chester, England, pleaded not guilty to, quote, displaying a threatening, abusive writing sign likely to cause harassment, alarm, or distress. The reason, Brian, she put a bumper sticker on her car that reportedly said, "Don't be a cunt," which I can agree with that.
I agree with that. But you hear that word like every 7 minutes walking around the streets of London. As somebody who has spent a lot of time in London, I'm going to say the C word used abundantly.
So she was actually charged with it back on January 8th. She was granted bail and will return to court in May. There apparently is precedent in the UK for prosecuting citizens over stickers. A Yorkshire man went on trial back in January of last year for allegedly creating an online library of white supremacist and neo-Nazi stickers for followers to print and distribute, with slogans like "Reject white guilt," "We will be a minority in our homeland by 2066," and "Diversity designed to fail, built to replace." He was ultimately found guilty of inciting racial hate and sentenced to 2 years in jail. Do you think, Brian, she could potentially face some jail time for this?
I don't understand it. Like, what is I don't know how you can compare that case with the case of that white supremacist.
I'm
mean,
not comparing it, but I think legally, is there a comparison? Because you're talking about speech that may have hurt other people in some certain way.
as somebody who has spent a lot of time studying the English legal system, I'm going to say I don't understand British laws, but I will say we should rise above using foul language on bumper stickers for use in the public. There's no reason why you should, show obscene material or obscenities for children walking down the street. We need to protect the world for the children, Ron.
Understood. You are all about the children. We do have
Always
to give you
have been.
credit for that. Brian, you have often done a segment that you like to call Ask Ron on this show. What I
Love
would
it.
like to do is to do a little something called Ask Brian and get your feedback on something that I saw online. This is a Dear Abby letter from the New York Post. It goes, "Dear Abby, my youngest son, age 27, has been clean and sober for 2 years, having survived the horrible addiction of fentanyl. I helped nurse him back to health. It wasn't easy, but he is alive today. However, with this sobriety, a new person is emerging who is critical of and condescending to his siblings and to me. He finds flaws in all of us that disgust him, and therefore he has chosen to no longer engage with us. He claims that he is telling, quote, his truth, and only right or wrong exists for him anymore. He has no problem with hurting our feelings, as that is, quote, our problem, and he, quote, won't cater to society's norms anymore. I come to him from a place of love and acceptance, and I tell him this all the time. He tells me I'm delusional and living a lie. I don't know what to do or say anymore. He's willing to walk away from our family if we can't come to a place of mutual understanding, which is his way. I'm about ready to walk away from him because I'm tired of his tirades and his putting everyone down. What should I do?" Disillusioned mom in Minnesota.
Demin, how do you end? Like, they don't use an acronym
That's
for
the pseudonym is Disillusioned mom in Minnesota is the
DMIM. Listen, I grew up on Savage Love. Savage Love. You always, if the center of the letter always created an acronym that spelled out something fun and cute, like "come on my face" or "jizz in my butthole." Like you always had a cute little acronym. Anywho, listen, I'm a big fan of this. Push negativity out of your life.
Okay.
So if you've got somebody in your life, and keep in mind, I did not always do that, or it took me 6 years to push the negativity out of my life when I was in Florida. My point being is this: this woman, obviously, I can never understand maternal love. I cannot understand the power, the strength, the magnetism of bringing a life into this world and feeling responsible for that life, that connection you feel. Don't have it.
Okay.
With that said, um, if you've got a family member who is just absolutely negative about you and those that you love, I think the message that you have to send to them is, if you're threatening to walk away because we will not embrace your truth, walk away. When you wake up one day and realize that you want us in your life, a compromise will have to be made between your truth and our truth, one which we can both coexist upon. And that's how we will build a relationship moving forward. But if you can only exist in a world, and I will say this is fairly common with people who are coming out of addiction, where when they come out, they start focusing on, I've experienced this with several people. They come out with, no, these are the
You've
pillars.
known people that have suffered from addiction to substances of some sort.
Yeah. Why do you sound surprised?
Just asking.
Oh, I'm sorry. People in Philly adjacent. I would imagine you've met a couple people from Kensington. But it's like they like coming out of rehab, like what they, you basically realize you're at rock bottom and you have to start building yourself back up. So you're introduced to like, what are the pillars of the what foundation are you going to create, going to become as you get out of this person that was drug riddled, alcohol riddled, and you start to see these things as absolutes, because compromise implies you're going to be compromised back to the old you, the old substance abuse using you, and you create these things and they become absolutes in your life, when the reality of life is nobody can live their life and just like only exist within the planes and the lanes that they want to live in. You have to interact with other people who are walking their path, and the only way you coexist with them is to kind of bend, compromise where possible. Are you going to just sit there with the belt on your shoulder the whole fucking episode?
I might.
So
I might actually.
So fucking annoying. But yeah, so I think the message that this lady has to give her kid is, I absolutely love you. I want you in my life. Your siblings love you. They all want you in your life. But if you're going to be this rigid personality who only finds fault with us, then you clearly don't want us in your life. We don't want you when you're ready to accept us the way we've accepted you when you were at your worst as well as at your best. We'll welcome you back.
There you go. I think you and Dear Abby actually on the same page with that one. Give the person some distance and then see if they are willing to make some compromises.
Ron, if you love something, you have to let them go. If it was meant to be, they will come back. I believe Prince taught that to me in Dove's Cry.
Pretty sure he did. Pretty sure. Brian, as we mentioned earlier, it is Super Bowl Sunday. We are mere hours away from the Eagles and the Chiefs hitting the turf, and this title going up for grabs between the two of us. But we do love ourselves some wagering on the Super Bowl, which means it is time for our Super Bowl 2020 prop bets. Brian, are you ready to hear 10 prop bets for the Super Bowl, and we can decide how we want to bet on these, and we'll keep track. I did a little spreadsheet. We keep track of all of ours, and we'll review this next week. Are you ready?
What are
Brian?
we betting? What are we betting?
What do you want to bet?
I don't know. You want to bet how many items? 10?
It's 10. You want to bet $50 total on all 10? Who does better?
Sure. Tiebreaker?
Tiebreaker.
What if we get the same number? No bet?
We do a circle jerk, and whoever finishes first wins the money.
Listen, is there any doubt that I'm going to be the first one to finish? I mean, that's never been a problem. I've been on this planet 52 years. I always finish first.
There you go. Well, if it's a tie, it's a tie. We'll just split the money at that point.
It's a tie, correct. All right. How does this one sound? If it's a tie, we donate the $50 to a cause that we both agree upon.
All right, I'd be fine.
Maybe the ACLU or something. We find one that like stands. You're good with the ACLU? Are they doing good work, or are they just fucking up? Because they're
standing up. They're helping out. They're taking care of it.
All right. So if it's a tie, we go to the $50 goes to the ACLU.
Yes. All right. So the first one, national anthem length. It is over or under 121 seconds. It's plus 100 for over 121 seconds. It is minus 130 for under 121. So the money is on being under 2 minutes and 1 second. John Batiste is performing the national anthem this year. Brian, what do you think? Are you going over or under 121 seconds?
Looking for who John Batiste is.
I believe he's a piano player. He'd be playing keyboard and singing.
I'm gonna go under. Do you have your picks already made?
I don't. I'm going to make them along with you, but I'm going over on that one.
Okay. Well, shouldn't you make your picks first, so this way you're not influenced by my picks?
All right, that's fine. All right, I will make my next
You want me to
pick.
talk? I'm going to talk. Talk.
I just picked the next one. So will they show Taylor Swift during the national anthem. Yes is plus 350. No is minus 500.
I'm going to say yes.
All right. I went no on that one. I
Okay.
think that's one that they'll probably skip on.
Okay.
Will the first play be a run or a pass? Run is minus 140. Pass is plus 110.
I think the first play is going to be a kickoff.
After the kickoff, will the first offensive play be a run
you
or
didn't
a
say
pass?
that. Oh, I'm sorry, Ron. Maybe my understanding of football is a little bit better than yours. I will say it's a run.
That's what I'm going with too. I mean, I do think it depends on who wins the coin toss. Like, I think if it's Eagles, 100% it's a run. If it's Chiefs, I think it's 50-50. But we're both going pass on that. Run on that. All right. So the next one is the jersey number of the first TD scorer in the game. Will that jersey number be over or under 15.5?
The jersey number of the first person that scores.
Correct. Over 15.5 is minus 130. Under 15.5 is plus 100. The under gives you options like Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Xavier Worthy, DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster, Isaiah Pacheco, and Patrick Mahomes. Everybody above 15 is the over. Like Saquon is 26. Travis Kelce is 87. So you're looking tight ends, wide receivers. So over or under 15.5?
Under.
Really? All right. Yeah, I went over. I feel it's going to be a Travis Kelce or Saquon Barkley first touchdown.
Okay.
All right. Next up.
Wait a second. Didn't you just say? Oh, I said under because okay, got it. I'm good.
Yep. All right. The distance of Patrick Mahomes' first touchdown pass, will it be over or under 9.5 yards?
I'm going to say over.
Interesting. I went under on that one, but I feel I'm going to regret that one. I think it may end up being over.
I think you're going to regret picking the Philadelphia Eagles in our Super Bowl. What did we say the line was? 1.5?
1.5 plus 1.5.
Got it.
The next one is: will any 300-pound player score a touchdown? Yes is plus 2,500. No is minus 10,000. So you're basically looking at like a trick play with an offensive lineman or somebody like Chris Jones or Jordan Davis scoring a touchdown. So yes or no?
No.
Yeah, I went no on that.
Yeah, there's.
All right. So the next one is: will Saquon Barkley rush for 150 or more yards? Yes is plus 250. No is minus 300. So this is rushing, not all around yards, not scrimmage yards, just rushing yards.
I'm going to go yes.
Oh, all right.
I'm going to say that the Chiefs' defense does not show up as strongly as we would like them to.
I went under on that one. I'm not going to lie. I think he'll have a big game, but I don't know if he can break 150.
Okay.
All right. This is one of those tricky ones, Brian. Who will have more on Super Bowl Sunday? Will it be Cade Cunningham points or Patrick Mahomes completions? Cade Cunningham plays for the Detroit Pistons, has a game against Charlotte on Super Bowl Sunday. Will he score more points or will Patrick Mahomes have more completions? Each is minus 110.
I don't even know who the fuck that other dude is. This doesn't even make fucking. Where did you pull this from? Who is Cade Cunningham? Was he like Richie? Was he Richie's younger brother?
All right, so Cade Cunningham
sent off to the mental institution.
He is a point guard for the Detroit Pistons. He is averaging 25.6 points per game at this point, and he is listed as probable for Sunday's game against the Hornets. If he does not play, the bet gets tossed out, obviously. But do you think he will have more points or Patrick Mahomes have more completions?
I will go Patrick Mahomes, more completions.
I went with Mahomes on that one, too.
Jesus Christ.
All right. Here is a question, kind of a throwback to the old Patriots Falcons Super Bowl years ago. Will either team trail by 14 points and come back to win? Yes is plus 770. No is minus 2,000.
No.
I went yes on that. I can see someone maybe going up a couple touchdowns and then not holding it in the second. Yeah, very possibly. All right, and then this final one, Brian. What color liquid will be poured on the winning coach? So here are your options. Listen closely. Purple is currently sitting at plus 100. Yellow/green is at plus 200. Blue is at plus 600. Orange is as plus 750. Red/pink is at plus 1100. And clear or water is at plus 1200.
Yellow/green.
Yellow/green. All right. I am going orange on that. Just a gut feeling. Just a gut feeling. Now, as a little bit of quick history, the Chiefs poured purple Gatorade in their last 2 Super Bowl victories and dumped orange back in February of 2020. However, if you like the Eagles to win the game, a lemon lime bath makes sense based on coloring, but I'm still going orange. So we have those bets locked in, and we will see what goes from there.
Now, is that, did you pick orange because that is the color of your urine after going to Virginia for the weekend?
I stayed hydrated, Brian, so I am in the yellow/green category.
Got it. How was Virginia? You told us about your neighbors on the plane.
Right.
How was the rest of the trip? How come we went down to Virginia?
I had some work obligations this weekend, so I went down for some events down there. Listen, it's a beautiful little area, the Blue Ridge Valley, in the Virginia Tech area, neck of the woods. It was a good day. We were just happy to get in and out of there with the weather and everything. We were happy to get home and get back here to do episode 340 as I prepare to continue my title reign.
Listen, I said it when we were talking about the neighbors behind you. I avoided travel for so long. I just was like, why would I want to leave New York? Why would I want to go somewhere else? And I've thanks to my lady, I've seen the error of my ways. Even traveling within this country, I think it's so important to get out of your bubble. Get out of your routine and just see something different, see something else, see how other people live, realize you're just one of many. It really puts kind of life in perspective. So I think it's great that you went down there.
Listen, to be fair, in your defense, you had a number of years where you had that ankle monitor issue, which really prohibited a lot of your travel. So I've been very pleased to see seeing you jet around the globe, making a huge carbon footprint, leaving a burning planet for the next generation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know who else made a very long trip recently, Brian? Our new favorite person, Onijah Andrew Robinson, from the great state of New York City to be exact, traveled to Pakistan to meet and marry a 19-year-old man she had met online and went over there in October of 2024, apparently was jilted by her 19-year-old teenage online boyfriend when his family forbid the relationship. She's still in Pakistan and has become something of a local
sensation
in Pakistan. I mean, it's insane. I think she's still over there. They've tried to get her on a flight out. Her family has tried to get her back home, saying that she has bipolar disorder. But now she's holding press conferences.
Sure. She has demanded money from the Pakistani government. Right. She has demanded land. So the story, this is my understanding of it, is this. A New York woman is talking online to a Pakistani man. They agree they're going to get married. She flies all the way over to Pakistan to meet him, to marry him. His family meets her and his parents decide you are not marrying this woman. Somehow the family, including him, move.
Right.
They just vacate the
Just
house.
leave.
She then literally camps out in front of the home, refusing to leave, demanding that she be allowed to local authorities, the police, demanding that she be allowed into the home, claiming that she's married to the guy that lives there. They left and she needs access to the home so she can live there. They do not do that. Suddenly, this story hits the media, and it really blew up this past week.
Oh, it did.
Um,
Yes.
the level of politeness, of just grace
So
that is
kind.
being amazing, that is being shown by local Pakistani authorities. The woman has demanded $50,000.
No,
She
100,000. She demanded
was it
$100,000.
100? Oh, she doubled
Yeah.
it. Why not?
She said,
Why
"I
not?
need 20,000 by the end of the week." The greatest thing was when people were asking her what she needed the money for. She was like, "It's against my religion to tell you all my business."
She also announced she was coming out with a Bitcoin, not coming out with the crypto. She didn't say she was coming out with a crypto coin because we know Haktua did such a good job with that. This one was just like, I'm coming out with my own Bitcoin. It's going to be on something. Her son here, and this is where it's just like you kind of really do feel bad. I mean, it feels great in that moment to be like, this lady is batshit crazy. I want to watch this. I want it like a reality show. Keep me entertained. By the way, why is she eating 2 McDonald's fries?
Well, I think she's maybe dining with someone, but again, this video that she put up eating at McDonald's, people are coming up, they're shaking her hands. She's got security guards that walk around with her now. Like anytime she does a press conference, there's easily 20 to 30 people just standing around her.
Security,
she's telling the government to rebuild Pakistan.
Oh my God.
Because she's
the level of comfort. She's like, you need to rebuild this because it is not okay. You need to take these houses down and rebuild them the right way. And keep in mind, coming with that typical, amazing New York street attitude that, like, as somebody who grew up in New York, I recognize, you tell it like it is, but just the level of like accommodations that the Pakistani people, the local people are making for her is utterly wild. If you can get exposed to some of these videos, they're all over social media. So just look it up. American Woman, Pakistan, it'll be there. And just watch her. The very fact that she is not a politician over there right now, they're missing out.
She's getting requests for brand sponsorships. So apparently a local mayor has extended her visa, but is attempting to get her on a flight. So there's mixed messages as of now. She may be on her way back to the States, but God, I hope not, because she really seems to be living her best life over in Pakistan.
She's living way better.
Why would you come back from Pakistan and become a small fish in a huge pond that is New York City when you can literally live out your dreams over in Pakistan?
Yes.
Government paying your way. Someone's buying your McDonald's. You've got you're literally forming a cult. She did the work, Brian, and the work is so important. And she should really just benefit from that. My opinion.
That's amazing. I agree with you.
Next up, we're going to go up to Canada, Brian, where a man ended up with some additional regrets after getting arrested for a drunken bar brawl last month. Blake McPhee was drinking at the East Village Pub and Eatery in Fort McMurray back in early January when he got into a little scuffle with fellow patrons and security guards. After the altercation spilled outside, he reportedly kicked one guard in the groin. He was restrained and pushed to the ground. Unfortunately, during this process, his pants fell down, leaving his penis pressed against the frozen pavement until police arrived. When they finally pulled him off the ground, his penis was stuck to the frozen ground, leading to some careful maneuvering in order to detach him. This is like the flagpole scene in Christmas Story.
Terrible movie. Terrible movie.
The penis.
Okay. Let me see if I got this straight. So he's at a bar. He gets into an argument with the bar staff. They throw him out. Somehow his pants fall down in the process. They hold him down on the ground until the police show up. And by the time the police show up, his penis is frozen to the ground.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Okay. People, somewhere there is security footage of this. I need to see it. I need to watch. What were they doing? Like they made him roll over a little bit and started like pouring lukewarm water to somehow
Maybe
loosen
so.
up that skin.
Maybe a little Michelob
Oh
Ultra
my
to
God.
loosen that up. He then afterwards wrote online, still don't understand why it was necessary to rip my fucking drawers clean off when I'm being arrested. Also, I know I don't have no fucking hog or nothing, but these folks making vids and shit about my tiny wiener, you try having a dick and getting her frozen fucking solid to the ground and see how small that shit gets. Gone are the days a feller can get his wiener frozen fucking solid to the ground without it going viral. Anyways, glad I can be of some entertainment and back to making headlines. Gonna go crawl inside a hole and cry myself to sleep now. P.S. Sorry, Ma.
Where did this happen again?
Alberta, Canada.
Oh my God. That's so amazing. I love that he felt the need to post about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you would have to. I think you would have to come out and be like, all right, my bad. Now this is a scarier story. This is going out to Colorado, where a man burned his thumb while camping and ended up having both legs amputated as a result. Max Armstrong was camping with friends as part of a hunting trip when he burned his thumb on a skillet while cooking pasta. Which, why do you cook pasta when you're camping? But regardless,
Nobody cooks pasta.
Yeah. So, quote, I grabbed the skillet wrong and my thumb touched the hot part. I could feel it burning as I moved it to the table, but I didn't want to drop it. He said he cleaned up the burn, put a bandage on, and left it. Unfortunately, the burn ended up getting infected with strep A that can have life-threatening consequences. 2 days after the burn, one of his legs started to swell up. He thought he had twisted his ankle or something like that. However, afterwards, his toenails began to turn purple. The swelling in his leg increased and the burn worsened, seemingly eating away at his thumb. He then went into sepsis, was put into a medically induced coma, which he stayed in for 6 days. During that week, the sepsis ate away at his feet, spreading further up his body, which resulted in the doctors having to amputate both of his legs in a last-ditch effort to save his life.
Oh my God.
And then he talks about waking up from his coma to find out that he had no legs.
I would kill myself. I don't have the inner strength to enjoy life if I've lost both my legs. Like, I don't want to be alive at that point. I do not want to be alive. Jesus Christ. From burning your thumb?
From burning your thumb. I mean, you do hear these stories from time to time where if you don't protect yourself properly after some sort of injury and you get an infection, I mean, it can turn deadly on you.
My God, I'm going to start carrying bacitracin.
What is bacitracin?
Isn't that the antibiotic kind of cream that you can put on burns and cuts and whatnot? Bacitracin. Did I just name the wrong brand?
I don't know. We may have to turn.
There we go. Bacitracin. Excuse me, Ron. You're ignorant. Bacitracin is an antibiotic ointment used to treat minor skin infections such as cuts, scrapes, and burns. It works by preventing the growth of bacteria that can cause these infections. And that, Ron, is why you're going to lose both your legs when you cut your thumb after losing the belt and sitting there and packaging it up, and you're going to cut your thumb on that glorious piece of metal. You're gonna be using a pair of scissors to slice up the tape that you're gonna put around. You're gonna look. Here we go. Triple AB includes bacitracin. It's a Neopoly back.
Well, it sounds like you need to carry some of that triple AB. Next up, Brian, a 22-year-old Wisconsin man died from an asthma attack after the price of his inhaler jumped to over $500, and he was forced to choose to either pay rent over the life-sustaining medicine his parents claim. This is Colt Schmidtknecht's his family. Colt Schmidtknecht. His family is demanding damages from Walgreens Pharmacy and United Health Group. Oh, there's that United Health again. Optums RX.
Free Luigi!
For their alleged actions leading to the 2024 death. He had been diagnosed with chronic asthma as an infant, but had managed his symptoms with a daily dose of a corticosteroid inhaler for over a decade. His plan initially covered the inhaler, and he was paying anywhere from $35 to $67. during the deductible phase of the plan. However, his price jumped up to $530 after they changed the list of drugs that they were going to cover. So he apparently had to make that choice between rent and prescriptions. Chose rent, obviously. Left the pharmacy without his medication one day because the cost of it was going to be $540. And then he was trying to rely on his old emergency inhaler. He then suffered a severe asthma attack, became asphyxiated. They tried to revive him at the hospital with 2 doses of epinephrine and performed CPR. He remained in a coma on a ventilator for 6 days until his parents were told he was beyond help. They took him off of life support, and he was pronounced dead in January of 2024.
Ron, I know you want me to feel bad. I know you want me to sit here and attack the insurance companies and the U.S. healthcare system and Donald Trump and what. This is Darwinism, Ron. If this man's body is not strong enough to breathe on his own, that's God's way of saying that he should not be alive.
I mean, it strikes me as a little harsh. I'm not going to lie.
No, it is harsh. It's a fucking tragedy. The very fact that our health system sits there and says to people, you need to have X number of dollars of net worth for you to be able to afford healthcare in America. It's just so fucking offensive.
Another tragic story: a white Massachusetts teen avoids jail time in an attempted drowning of a black person in a pond. This is Chatham, Massachusetts, and this is now. Hold on, where's this photo go? Now, 15-year-old resident John Sheeran. He is only going to have to serve probation and around 700 hours of community service after he pled guilty to attempted murder and assault with a dangerous weapon charge back in December. He will be required to attend an online educational class and write an apology letter to the victim. If he reoffends before February of 2028, he could be taken into custody. Sheeran and another 2 boys threw rocks at the victim before Sheeran, the victim, and the third team all went into the pond. The victim, who had on a life jacket because he didn't know how to swim, was forced underwater by Sheeran. He was also accused of calling the teenager the N-word as the third team allegedly called the black child George Floyd because he couldn't breathe during the incident.
Jesus Christ. This kid looks like who was the guy in South Carolina that shot his wife and kid?
Yeah, that guy.
This looks like the other kid that survived.
It does, yes.
I don't remember his name. We were all about that guy. Why is it that I can't remember his name? Murdoch, one of those. Listen, first off, can we put that photo back up? Because I am impressed with the neckline of that shirt. Look high and tight. That kid knows. Listen, this kid showed up to court dressed to impress. Look at that. He already has that fucking 55-year-old drinking, looking like a fucking turkey. He couldn't even.
You can already hear him say, "Hey, why don't we go get a pack of smokes and then go down to Dunk's for a coffee and a Crulla?"
My dad's a lawyer. I'll be out in 45 minutes. You could go fuck yourselves. Fuck you. What a piece of shit. I hope I hope he reoffends before 2028. I really hope he does.
Yeah.
Trying to kill somebody is just fucking. I don't understand. I don't understand in our legal system how you can try to kill somebody and walk away. I guess you can argue that it's white privilege, but there are people that are in jail for much smaller crimes.
Listen,
he tried to drown someone.
As the 2 women on the plane Friday night said, you can't really blame kids for what they do when they're kids, Brian. Whether they're racist, whether they try and kill another child, can't blame them for any of that stuff.
It does. That's just terrible. Fucking terrible.
All right. Brian, we are almost getting...
Got a couple. No, I'm not done yet. I know I've got 2 things. First off, What are you watching? I know you went down to Virginia this weekend. There had to have been stuff you watched this past week.
I didn't really watch too much this week. I've been busy with work and with the podcast. I don't think.
Really?
I'm trying to think if I watched anything this week, and I don't think I really did.
Huh, good for you.
What are you watching, Brian?
Listen. I am knocking out Severance. This is such a great show. I am. I don't want to say I'm obsessed with it.
I've heard season 2 is really, really good. Like it's very well paced. A lot of good reveals, keeping the story moving.
Season 1, slow to really kind of launch, but once you got into it and kind of embraced the characters, the second half of season 1 shows why this show is elite. The pace, the plotting, the visuals, the sets, it's such a great show. Also, I took a recommendation from you. I watched the Tom Green documentary on Amazon. Would love to go back and get those 90 minutes back. I do not. I don't. I watched it because you said, "Hey, watch it." It was really interesting. He did a lot of stuff and influenced a lot of people. He was a kid who acted retarded in public, and somehow like watching people's reactions to him acting retarded, that makes him an artistic genius. No, it doesn't. He acted like somebody that I would want to punch. Not that I would want to punch people with Down syndrome. I don't want that to be the message of the show. But
you don't want that to be the message.
Correct. I wish I. Also, another one. Last night, Amy Schumer, who I always have liked stand-up wise,
right?
Just came out with a movie called, I think, Kind of Pregnant.
I did somewhat watch that while my wife watched that.
Ooh. This is a watered down version of Trainwreck. Trainwreck was a movie which, I mean, brilliant. People bashed it. I loved it. I thought it was so strong. I thought it was funny. I thought it was sharp. I thought the acting was good in it. I thought it was a good story. This is a watered down version of it. She plays the same type of character where it's just like, a woman who doesn't have her act together. And then she tells a lie, pretends she's pregnant, kind of meets somebody, but then suddenly her lie comes up. They break apart. And in the last 2 minutes, the guy's just like, who am I kidding? We have, let's fall in love. Right. It was just like, it literally was, it was god awful. God awful, save yourself from it.
It started off promising. I would say like the first 10, 15 minutes were like, all right, this could be good. And then it just it's just like, oh yeah, this is like every cliche rom-com storyline is just going to get tied in here.
It was incredibly cliched. Very disappointed by it. And also, you know what I think was the part that bothered me the most is the fact that, and don't get me wrong, I know she's married. I know she has a kid. It's not like she has nothing else to do. But like Trainwreck came out, like a decade ago? That in 10 years, she couldn't come up with another concept that was better than this. Like, this brought absolutely nothing new to entertainment. This wasn't an original idea. The writing wasn't clever. Like, it literally felt like she was just sitting there and just like grabbed the script. Just grabbed the script. It was like, no, let's do this one. Very disappointed.
All right. I agree. I'm with you on that one.
Also, wanted to know, other than our Super Bowl bet and our prop bet, what other bets do you have on the Super Bowl today?
Ooh, I got a lot going on.
Oh, do you? Do you want to do it, or do you want to save it for Patreon?
I could throw a couple out.
I only have a couple. I mean, I really want to focus on the championship bet. While you're pulling those up, I will go. I will say that I have a bet. I took advantage of a lot of the different apps and their bonus, their boost, whatnot.
Yep.
I've got a bet on Saquon Barkley scoring 2 touchdowns. If he does that, I win $30. I have. Okay. I've got a bet on the Eagles getting 2 points. I put a $20 bonus bet on that. So this way, listen, people. If the Chiefs don't win and I do not get that belt for the next year, I win my bonus bet. So
there you go.
All good.
I will say, so I've got another quick beef here because I placed a bet on was it DraftKings or was it what is this one? FanDuel. And because I was in Virginia, like I have to do like a whole drop down thing to go to my Virginia bets versus my Pennsylvania bets.
Ron, I imagine that. I work in New York. I live in New Jersey. I
right,
constantly have to bounce back and forth. But FanDuel does not handle multi-state gambling very well.
All right, so here are some of the bets I have. I've got a parlay, which you hate, but I've got Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith, and Xavier Worthy all doing 4+ receptions for the game. I like that one. Jake Elliott, kicker of the Eagles, over 6.5 total kicking points. I've got the first half total points under 24.5. Let's see, what else do I got here? And I've got this was a special boost that I took. Marquise Brown and Devontae Smith combining for 50+ receiving yards each half.
Interesting. I like that one.
And I did also I told you some of the other boosts I took.
Yeah.
Took Saquon Barkley for anytime touchdown scorer, which apparently in every sports book out there is the single most bet option out there, even more than either Chiefs or Eagles money line combined.
Question: what are the odds on a Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown? I mean, I got to imagine it's like minus 500.
So it was minus 200. I did get a special on Bet365 that bumped it up to plus 100. So it's a double
plus 100.
Plus
interesting.
100.
Even money on that. Good for you.
Yeah. So, well, we will know very soon who will hold this title belt, who will win the Super Bowl. But what some of you won't know is what is on our Patreon, because a lot of you out there aren't subscribers yet. If you are not, please go to ronandbrianpodcast.com. Click in the upper right-hand corner where it says Become a Patron. If you pledge at the $10 level or higher, you get to join us on After Dark, which will be taking place in about 19 minutes. Live, additional half hour of content. It's going to be enjoyable, folks. That's all I can say. It's the saucy, spicy stuff that we don't always get to touch on the free podcast. Just like Brian does not get to touch his title belt for another year. Brian, are you ready for After Dark? Are you ready? Oh,
I'm very ready. We have we have more articles than we know what to do with for After Dark. I mean, last week it was After Dark. We brought back Marty Chardy to do a podcast recap. You can hold that belt up. Do it all you want, Ron, because a week from today, that belt will be on this side of the screen. Make sure you sanitize that little baby before you return it, because I do not want your DNA anywhere near that belt.
That's not what you've said before.
I don't want your DNA anywhere near me. I want it in me, Ron.
Hey now. All right, why don't we wrap this up and get ready for After Dark? Anything additional before we play the outro music?
All good.
All right.
Love you guys.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Go Birds, and we will see you next Sunday night.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again next week.